Bronny's not an NBA player right now. The Lakers did this to pacify LeBron, which I understand. He's the second greatest player of all time. It meant something to him. Okay. But don't try to convince the American sports fan that this is a big deal that LeBron played with his kid and it's the first ever, because I think it's fake.
Your son's just starting out in the business. He doesn't warrant being on a big stage. But let's say you say to management, I'd like to do a radio show with my son on Sirius XM.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I understand what your point is. I wouldn't say that because these jobs are very difficult to get. And I think that advantage for him would be unfair. So I would not tell, bosses, hey, do me a favor, make sure Colin Russo gets on Sirius and does a once a week show with me. I swear to God, you can tell anybody down in West Palm, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
And I'll say this right now. I won't say that because that will get me in trouble.
Your wife's out of town. You can't get in trouble.
I'll say it. Colin, on a radio perspective, he is better at what he does right now than Bronny is what he does. How's that? Okay. I'll say that with all sorts of confidence.
Okay.
Your dad said what he had to say, man. That's what he thought. That's what he thinks. I don't blame the dog for speaking his mind.
Sure.
I don't blame the dog for that.
I admire that. Fine. But to one side, you're talking about an NBA basketball player who has to get recruited, succeed at a collegiate level, get drafted, and then training camps, the athletic prowess to even stay on the court. And then on the other side of things, on the radio side of things, you got to talk, you got to talk, you got to talk, and you got to talk.
It's more than that, but come on.
You got to talk, and talk.
It's more than that. You know that.
There's a difference in playing field, if I may say.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a weird comparison, no
Strange.
doubt. Very, very weird comparison, but.
And I love how this has come up, and it's funny. But the fact that this has gotten some type of steam is the stupidest thing ever. Because now I'm 22. Bronny's like 20. So you got a 20-year-old being compared to a 22-year-old within the realm of media. And I know it's all jokes. I understand that. I'm not really taking this seriously. And I know that I'd be shocked if the James family even made a note of this mentally. But for the sake of argument, comparing that is stupid. And running with it and asking the actual question is absolutely bizarre. I looked at that article, that New York Post article, and I saw myself and my dad in a picture at an event. And then you scroll right underneath it, and it's LeBron James and Bronny James. It's LeBron and Bronny below Chris Russo and Colin Russo hanging out at an event. That is stupid. Let's call it like we see it. That is a bizarre look. That was a bizarre feeling to see that. We work for a company called Good Karma Brands. It is the umbrella above a bunch of ESPN affiliates all throughout the country. Milwaukee, Chicago, New York in some capacity, LA, West Palm Beach, Cleveland, all over the place. And all these big-time radio stations are operated under the umbrella of Good Karma Brands. It's not Disney. Disney is more the television side of things. Separate entities. Good Karma Brands, you'd be like, that's a fancy name. The founder and CEO, Craig Karmazin, if you could see the pun there with the Karmazin, who himself is the son of a very successful person within the same business, Mel Karmazin, who basically was a pioneer in broadcasting, in the business side of it. Craig started this great company in 1997, and over the course of 20-some-odd years, he has built something that has been quite successful. But our wonderful CEO, somebody I think I know, has prided himself in setting a standard amongst everybody who's underneath the big umbrella. Camaraderie, teammates, being a reliable person, but more importantly, knowing everybody. And if you knew Craig, if you know his reputation, this is somebody who I forget name tags. You don't need them. Craig knows everybody. Allegedly. Or so I thought. Craig thinks he knows everybody. Steve Pollitt Sr. is the same way. But take a listen to the audio, and then we'll welcome in Craig Karmazin. Here's what Craig Karmazin had to say on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy of ESPN Milwaukee this morning when asked about if Christopher Russo's son is good or better at radio than Bronny James is at basketball. Take a listen.
I think his son is at a similar place to Bronny. And I just don't think you can give, when you think about the amount of people who want to be basketball players in the world, I think Bronny is at a higher level than is Chris.
A Mad Dog?
No, not than Mad Dog, but his son, right? So I'm not going to give Chris that, but I think it's close.
Our fearless leader. He joins us now on Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. Mr. Karmazin, you and I have met maybe once, and it was a pleasant conversation. I thought it would be enough to at least leave enough of an impression that you would know who I was. Apparently, I was wrong on this.
Of course I know. Of course I know who you are. Why are you saying I don't know who you are?
Should we play it again? Let's play it one more time.
I said I'm not going to give Chris. I'm not going to give Chris that.
Well, what about the part
You're
where
not claiming?
Wait,
you're not claiming. You're not claiming to be better than Bronny. It's Chris who is making the claim. So I'm not going to give Chris that.
But hold on. Did you understand the part with how you kind of led into that answer? Let's be honest, Craig. I'm going to ask you straight up. Did you completely forget what my first name was?
No, but people in Milwaukee don't know who you are. Like I'm giving context to the audience. If you play the whole clip, you hear me say Colin at the end of the sentence.
Josh DiMaggio knows who I am, and he's the producer.
Colin.
Hold on a second. Josh DiMaggio is the producer of that very program, and he knows who I am. Craig, I'm under the impression here that you're trying to save face when you knew you slipped up. You knew that you...
No. If I had slipped up, I'm happy to say I slipped up, but I'm saying play me the clip where I slipped up.
Lovely. Play it.
It's going to be that, but I think it's close. Because I think they're at a similar place right now. But, I mean, an NBA player. I mean, Bronny was going to be a high-level scholarship player.
Hold on. Craig, you could hear it. You were drawing you were confused. Shamura and Gabe, they were right there. They're talking about Mad Dog? No, I'm talking about his son. You could have said Colin. It's very clear you were drawing blanks there. I'm surprised.
No one knows who Colin is. I mean, maybe in Madison, but this is a Milwaukee show. I mean, you have no brand in Milwaukee.
That's fair. That's no problem there. But you don't think context clues, people would be able to put together the puzzle that when Gabe Neitzel asks you, what do you think about Chris's son being better at radio than Bronny is at basketball, and you could come in and say Colin Russo. Guess what? We're talking about Chris Russo versus Colin Russo.
Yeah,
context clues. The puzzle's not that hard to put together.
Said that. Absolutely could have said that. Absolutely could have said that.
So you're denying the fact, completely upright, that you drew blank on what my name was.
I can't say one way or the other, but again, if you listen to the full clip, I call you Colin in that same sentence.
So will you also deny the fact that Josh DiMaggio or somebody aided you in some capacity on letting you know what my name was? Are you denying that as well?
No. I don't think so. I mean, if they did, I didn't hear it, but I definitely called you Colin at the end of the sentence, and I don't believe anyone aided me in that. If they did, then did Josh say he aided?
I'm not saying anything. Listen, we're not under court. This is not a deposition, my friend. I mean,
because Josh and I had some issues this morning, so this could be boiling over from that.
So this is also. I heard the part about the Bronny James and LeBron discussion about the ethicality of it, but I'm more curious about what you said and the fact that you drew blank on my name. You haven't convinced me that you had it down. I'm going to label that out there, number one.
I don't even know your name now. Yeah, I'm not even sure of your name now.
So we're joined by Dan Karmazin, the CEO of this great company of Good Karma Brands. And Mr. Karmazin, here's what I'll say. You said that, you drew blank on the name, and then to some people's, I guess, perception of what you said, I think that how you answered that question towards the latter half can be taken as backhanded. Would you agree with this or not? Because of Bronny James's stature, reputation, and ultimately his NBA career thus far, would you understand that it might be a little backhanded to say that I am worse off in my position of time at the moment comparatively to Bronny? Would you agree with that?
No, I don't think it's backhanded. I think it's my opinion. I think Bronny is ahead of you. And I said the same thing about myself. I think Bronny was ahead of myself, right? I had a father who, when I came in at the age of 22, was a legendary CEO. And not only was I worse than him at 22, but I'm worse than him at 49 years old. Like when I compare how much I've progressed in 27 years compared to my dad, who, I would not have gotten the opportunity I got at the age of 22 if it weren't for my dad. And yeah, I put Bronny 1, whatever Russo's name is 2, and then me 3.
Ethan Karmazin of Good Karma Brands joining us now on Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. Mr. Karmazin, what about this? Do I need to do anything to get into the graces of being better off than what do I have to accomplish in order to leapfrog Bronny in this race that you have decided I am losing?
I think you just have to achieve more in the current role because you've gotten to be a 5-day-a-week host in a top 50 market, which is a huge, huge deal. Of
course.
And that's why I'm saying I think you could be in the same sentence as Bronny at this point. I just think, the NBA, you're talking about a world. Like, this is a world sport. So the amount of people that he was competing with for those roster spots, to me, is just so much more significant. And so I don't think there's something you could have done to this point that would have me put him behind you. Like, it's just so significant to make the NBA when you're talking about a true global sport compared to sports radio where you have a very narrow group of people who are even competing for these opportunities comparatively.
Would you say when you founded this great company 20 some odd years ago that you wanted to establish a standard of course, the over-deliver, teammates, understanding each other, working together, but more importantly, knowing everybody? Would you say that was a sort of a founding principle in which this company is based on?
No. So the founding principle was really giving everyone a voice. And, at the time, all that other stuff was not anywhere. It was, I didn't want to go somewhere where I didn't have an opinion. I'd gone and worked at bigger companies, and I wanted, as a founding principle, it was really one thing, which was I wanted to give everybody a voice. That's what it was about in terms of founding principle.
All right, so fast forward 20 years. Would you say now that a major principle in which how you handle yourself as the CEO of this great company, would you say that you make it a point to know everybody within the company? Yes or no?
No. I mean, I try to, for the new teammates' benefit, when someone comes into the company who hasn't been an intern, hasn't been a part-timer, they spend time with me before they accept their role, their full-time role in the company. But that's not like me interviewing them. That I want people to feel safe when they're coming into this company if they don't have a base of people. So I don't want them to be intimidated by me. I don't want them to not have a relationship and feel like they've at least got to meet me, ask me any questions. So that is really important to me, that when someone's choosing to make their career with Good Karma, that they feel really safe and comfortable coming into the opportunity.
How safe and comfortable do you think I feel right now knowing that our fearless leader has no idea I was even a patch on his fanny, so to speak? What would you say to that?
Come on. You guys are on my TikTok algorithm. The amount of and I don't know if you have a co-host, if you even let him talk, or if this is just the Colin show. But
hey, he knows it. He knows it.
The amount on my algorithm, I have to get your wide receiver drafts. I mean, if I had to correct everything that you guys have done over just like the last 3 weeks in my TikTok algorithm, we wouldn't have time for the rest of the show.
So are you saying that your, conclusion between how I handle myself on radio, we could call it an air check in some ways, huh? Here's where Colin stands comparatively to where Bronny would stand in his respective career. Is that basically what you're saying? That's your version of an air check?
No. I'm not saying it was air check. I'm just saying the fields you're in are so dramatically different that to make an NBA team after your freshman year of college is at a different level than being a 5-day-a-week host of a sports radio station. And I'm just not going to apologize for that. It's an incredible accomplishment to be a one-and-done NBA player when you're talking about a global game. And no knock on you. You could take it as a knock, but it's no knock on you.
David Karmazin joining now of Good Karma Brands. Mr. Karmazin, one thing before I invite Mike in, would you say, finally, last and for all, you forgot my name, didn't you?
Did I forget your name? Absolutely. Will I remember it moving forward? Absolutely not.